Girl in a zombie mask controls the surviving men after the end of the world. Hello all. This is Jacobson and this is a brief retelling of the 9th and 10th episodes of the 10th season of the zombie series The Walking Dead. You can see the previous episodes at the links in the video description. As soon as this video gets 300 likes, I will release the next part. Also leave your comments, it will help promote the video. Have fun watching it.
Daryl, Carol, Aaron, Jerry, Connie, Kelly and Magna are recovering from a fall in a cave where they were caught by a huge horde. Alpha with a torch in his hand looks at them from above and Carol shouts at her in anger. The Alpha leaves the cave, ordering the Whisperers not to let them escape. She drops the torch and walks away, putting on a mask. Trying to escape, Magna tries to climb the wall, but fails. Daryl tells her it's too high, so the group starts looking for other escape routes. Daryl points the flashlight at the boulder, and Aaron suggests moving forward by jumping on the rocks. They cross over to the other side. The walker grabs Kelly's leg, and Jerry cuts off the arm, giving it to Daryl. As the group moves through the cave, Kelly notices that they don't have enough food. Jerry assures her that there must be a way out, since the walkers managed to get inside. Connie asks Carol if she's okay, to which she agrees. Daryl notices that she's claustrophobic, and Magna tells Carol that it's her fault that they're trapped. Daryl replies that they don't have time to quarrel. Returning to the camp of the Whisperers, Alpha informs Genesis and Gamma that their enemy has crossed the border, and they headed to the national park where the horde was located. Beta says they underestimated them, so Alpha assumes they sent spies abroad and appoints more guards, and then sends Gamma to relay a message to his spy in Alexandria, who they believe is already dead. Negan watches this in silence. In the cave, the survivors are resting and trying to get together. Daryl tells Carol that he is tired of her reckless actions and wants her to stop taking revenge. She replies that she wants Alpha to suffer for everything she has done, but Daryl reminds her that they are not fighting for revenge, but for their future. Carol promises that she won't cheat on him anymore. Meanwhile, Magna explores a stone maze with a lighted match and is ambushed by a Whisperer. The group engages in a fight and kills several Whisperers, after which they decide to follow those who escape to find a way out. The next day, Negan meets Alpha in the camp's toilet, where he tells her about a possible traitor among them and suggests that it could be Gamma. Alpha introduces the legs of his crotch and tells him not to sow paranoia in the camp, warning that if he is wrong, she will cut off his balls. Then she throws it into a ditch and walks away. Back in the cave, the horse comforts Carol, and the group begins to make their way through the narrow tunnels. Carol suffers from bouts of claustrophobia, but overcomes them. Walkers appear from the holes, forcing the survivors to accelerate. Jerry gets stuck in a hole, and two walkers try to gnaw his legs. Daryl tells him to take off his armor, and he successfully squeezes through them. Kelly checks his shoes and assures him he hasn't been bitten. Magna notices the sunlight and almost falls into a huge hole. Daryl sets fire to the walker's arm and throws him to the bottom of the cave, revealing part of the horde. At the Whisperers' camp, Alpha asks Beta about Gamma's whereabouts. He notices that she didn't make it to the border, so he sent 4 scouts to help her in case she was caught by a traitor. Alpha assumes that Gamma is the traitor and wants it to track her down and bring her to the camp alive to kill her in front of the whole pack. In the cave, the group penetrates into an old mine, where it finds a checkpoint and a possible exit. Kelly finds a box of dynamite, and Jerry asks her to pack it carefully. Magna shares with Aaron her feelings about the quarrel with Yumika. Returning to the Whisperers' camp, Alpha takes Negan deep into the forest. When they stop, she orders him to undress. Negan, thinking that Alpha is going to kill him, admits that the power he had over the Saviors turned him into a monster. To his surprise, he turns around and sees the Alpha completely naked. She says he deserves a rough reward for finding a spy. Negan is amused that she does not take off her mask, and he asks if she will behead him later, like a female mantis, but receives no answer. He says he'll take a chance, and they kiss. In the cave, the group continues to dig to find a way out of the mine, when Daryl notices that Carol and 1 stick of dynamite have disappeared. He finds her on the way back, trying to climb the wall and find a good place for the checker to explode and destroy the horde. Daryl says she will kill herself in the process and eventually convinces her to stop. Then he tries to pull her up, but the dynamite falls and explodes under them. The cave begins to collapse, and Jerry holds the beam so that the others can get out. Kelly and Aaron get to the surface and kill several whisperers. Coney runs back to find Daryl and Carol, forcing Magna to follow her. They find them and help them escape, but encounter new whisperers coming from behind. Magna and the horses stay behind and kill several whisperers to protect Jerry, but he can no longer hold the log and leaves through the hole. The remaining dynamite immediately explodes, and the cave collapses, trapping Magna and Coney inside. Daryl tries to fight his way through the rubble, while Kelly falls to the ground in agony. Aaron tells Daryl that it may take weeks to get to them, and he begins to cry. Kelly states that the explosion will attract walkers and whisperers nearby, and they should leave, because they will not be able to help Coney and Magnesium if they die. Carol screams at Daryl to blame himself for all their troubles and begs him to admit that it's all her fault. He ignores her request and tells the group to go home and inform everyone that they have found the horde, while he finds another entrance to the cave. In it goes through a field in the woods and enters a moldy van, where two other whisperers open the latch, revealing a deep tunnel entrance. He jumps down, lights a lantern and begins to move deeper into the cave. Meanwhile, in Alexandria, Rosita wakes up after a nightmare in which she freezes and is forced to watch the Whisperer kill the cook. A moment later, she receives a call on the radio and leaves. Gamma appears outside the gate, which is immediately surrounded by guards with a spear at the ready. She removes her mask and explains that their group is trapped in a cave surrounded by a horde of Alpha, and that they may still be alive and in need of help. Gabriel doubts her intentions, pointing out that the horde was not where she told Aaron. Gamma claims that Alpha moved her, and insists that she wants to help, explaining that the child left in the hilltop is her nephew, and she is ready to show them the location of the cave in order to see him again. Gabrielle seems to believe Gamma's story, but Rosita knocks her down and orders her to be put in a cell. In the woods, Daryl secretly watches the Whisperer, who walks around another cave entrance. He prepares to attack, but retreats after the Alpha comes out and begins to lead the horde. Back in Alexandria, Mary wakes up in a cell. Gabriel and Rosita tell her about Dante's actions, but Mary claims that she was not involved in this. They say she has to prove that she is different from the other Whisperers or be killed. When Gabrielle insists that she is hiding something and demands a sincere confession, Mary tearfully reveals that she killed her sister for the Alpha, which forces Gabriel to accept her help. Meanwhile, Alpha and a few Whisperers continue to lead the walkers across the river. Suddenly, a knife is thrust into the leg of one of the Whisperers, and after a cry of pain, he is devoured. Alpha orders his group to disperse when Daryl appears from behind and kills the remaining Whisperers, and then confronts Alpha. They engage in a fierce fight in which the Alpha cuts his face, impairing his vision. Daryl sticks a tree branch into his shoulder and shouts about the whereabouts of Magna and Coney. The fight attracts the attention of walkers, and Daryl is forced to deal with them, while coping with his blurred vision. Alpha grabs a knife on the floor and wounds him in the leg as they flee the scene. In the meeting room, Mary stands in front of the map and tells everything she knows about the cave and the entrances to it. She explains that most of the Alpha's forces are located around the cave, so the borders are defenseless. When Mary is taken away again, Gabriel suggests that Laura and Scott send 2 rescue teams just before Rosita again doubts the authenticity of her words. He insists that Mary is telling the truth. Elsewhere, a weakened Alpha stumbles upon an abandoned gas station where Daryl is hiding. She searches for him for a while in the workshop inside the station, but after exhaustion sits down and hits the wall with a gun to attract walkers nearby who will protect her and attack Daryl. Back in Alexandria, Rosita and Gabriel are preparing for a sortie. He offers her to stay at home, but she refuses, adding that he is unstable and wants a fight. Gabrielle does not understand what she is driving at, and Rosita declares that she feels that Coca is interested in where Siddiq is and does not want her daughter to remain an orphan. Outside, Judith starts a conversation with Mary, asking her name and wondering about her life before meeting the Whisperers. Mary remembers that she was born in Santa Monica and that her parents' names were John and Alice, but she can't recall any more memories, blaming Alpha for brainwashing her. Judith suggests that if Mary had bumped into Rick and Michonne first, she would have gotten better, implying that she doesn't look like a monster. At the gas station, 3 walkers are lured inside, so Daryl is forced to discard the fire extinguisher and use it as a weapon. He kills 2, but to kill the 3rd, he has to pull the knife out of his leg, opening the wound and losing a lot of blood. Later that day, Laura receives an echo-mail message about the approach of a herd of hundreds of walkers. She wants to double-check the messages, but does not receive a response. Scott wonders why the Whisperers would send forces to the gate, and Gabriel explains that they are trying to prevent them from using the traitors' information. While people are being recruited into the scout team, Gabriel changes his plan at the last minute and orders Rosita and Laura to stay with the backbone of the team while he and the others go to investigate. Before leaving, Rosita tells him that she has nightmares that the Whisperers killed her, and she worries about the future of the cook if they both die. They kiss goodbye. That night Beta crawls out of Cheryl's grave and draws his double blades, and then secretly walks through the community. He kills several survivors in their homes and then sits down to meditate while waiting for his victims to come to life. On the way, Gabriel and his team of scouts find the dead soldiers from behind the hotpost and realize that the Whisperers forced them to give false information about the herd so that they would leave Alexandria and weaken the internal defenses. Back in Alexandria, all the inhabitants of the murdered Beta turn into walkers and wander the streets. While Rosita and the other soldiers are dealing with the undead, Beta enters the basement and opens the cell, while Mary claims that Alpha lied about Alexandria. He ignores her and tells her to go with him without hesitation, ensuring that her death will be painless. She goes ahead and declares that she is not afraid of him when Laura appears from behind and threatens Betty with an axe, advising Mary to call for help. Outside, Judith tells Mary to go inside for safety. In the cell, Laura jumps on Beta to prevent him from leaving, but he overpowers her and hits her back against the cell door twice, killing her. Beta goes outside and enters the house. He tries to enter the nursery, but gets shot in the chest by Judith. Mary tells her RJ to run to the other room while she checks out Beta. When she tries to follow them, Beta grabs her leg and knocks her down. He then checks his bulletproof vest until Rosita catches his attention. They fight with weapons until Beta cuts both her arms and knocks her to the ground. Before he can kill her, Mary asks him to stop, otherwise she will commit suicide, saying that she knows that Alpha wants her to be alive. Shortly after, Beta accompanies Mayer back to the camp when they are ambushed by the Alexandrians, forcing him to flee into the woods. She falls to her knees and tries to convince Gabriel that she didn't give them. He hesitates, but eventually believes her. At the gas station, Alpha and Daryl lie wounded and bleeding. She takes off her mask and starts talking about light and darkness, declaring that she is grateful to everyone who made her strong. Daryl tells her that she sent Lydia away because she didn't love her. The Alpha gets angry and tries to approach him, but loses consciousness from exhaustion. She briefly regains consciousness and sees Lydia standing over her. Alpha wonders if she is real, and begins to sing a lullaby, at the same time putting her daughter's hands on a knife over her heart, saying that she is ready to lead the Whisperers after her death. Lydia tearfully refuses to kill her mother and says she blames her for not allowing her to live a normal life as she always wanted. The next morning, Alpha wakes up alone and sees the words "Your way" is not the only one carved on the workbench with her knife. She looks at the inscription in disappointment, and then begins to laugh angrily. In Alexandria, Scott informs Gabriel to get into Alexandria through Cheryl's grave, which is connected to a tunnel system, when Aaron arrives and informs that not everyone has escaped from the cave. Shortly after, Rosita leaves the cook under Gabriel's care and kisses him goodbye, preparing to head towards the Hilton to be examined by the doctor together with the group. Mary also jumps into the carriage to see her nephew, and she and Rosita introduce themselves and shake hands. Elsewhere, in the woods, Lydia is treating Daryl's wounds when he wakes up. She says she stayed with him all day while deciding what to do. When he asks about Alpha, Lydia replies that she couldn't have killed her mother. At the gas station, Alpha is surrounded. Her wounds are being treated by several Whisperers. She stands up and promises to take revenge on the communities with their horde, while pronouncing the anthem of the Whisperers, officially declaring war.